Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow, your home for all Golden Grizzlies basketball. My name is Giovanni Moceri. I am your host, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to help support the GioMoShow, both on YouTube and all audio platforms. You can follow us on Instagram at the GioMO Show, and you can follow me on Twitter at GioMoSheriWXOU, both of them using the hashtag the GioMo Show to stay connected with everything. We just passed 100 subscribers on YouTube. Specifically, we're at 105. So I really appreciate it. I want to give a big thank you for everybody who's subscribed, who has tuned in, who has really helped grow the show, especially this season. We're getting a lot of new followers on Instagram, a lot of views on some of those videos as well. And it's been awesome to see you guys have this kind of response to it, especially those of the student body, those current students who I've been, hopefully been able to connect to through the school's Instagram story. I feel like that's been a huge key for kind of spreading the show. So just thank you, everybody, for subscribing. We'll see how far over 100 we can get by the end of the calendar year and by the end of this Golden Grizzlies season. So if you're not subscribed yet, be sure to do that. Help get that number up. It helps the show a ton. So we only got one game to cover for this week. It is an away game against Northern Iowa, one of 3 games in the next 7 days for the Golden Grizzlies. This one not being their best performance. A 75-63 loss is what the Golden Grizzlies had in a very muddy, very tough to score, poor shooting on both sides, I will say, kind of game. It's not what we've been used to in the past 4 games where Oakland was on a 4-game win streak, that being snapped at the end of this game. Only 63 points scored, as mentioned, but I'll give you guys a game flow a little bit. It was very, very slow offensively. Like, it took a long time for teams to get into the 20s, and if you guys watch the Instagram story, you kind of get my reactions as the game goes on. I think we were past the 10-minute timeout, and neither team has scored into the 20 points, but it was still like within a 1 possession. It was still close, and we were still like fighting and, being into the game here. And what really kind of fell apart was just before halftime, where UNI started to go on a run in a game that was in 1 possession in the first half, ended with an 8-point lead for Northern Iowa. 38-30 was your halftime score. Oakland was not shooting well, under 40, or they were exactly 40%. They were 33% from the 3-point line, not super hot on the free throw line. We didn't even shoot a lot of free throws in this game anyway. Kind of one of the few key stats of this game was that Oakland was not really able to get to the free throw line a bunch. We'll get to it in a little bit, but that was the first half. And Oakland, you're going to have to wake up on offense. We didn't score for like the last 2.5 minutes of that first half. So when you get into the second half, it's like, okay, this thing's got to wake up. This thing's got to change. This thing's got to improve. No, it got worse. Northern Iowa grew their lead to their largest of the game. They were up by 15 at the highest point in this game, and Oakland was just really unable to score, whether it was to their fault, whether it was to the tough defense of Northern Iowa. They're one of the finest defensive teams in mid-major basketball, and I saw on the broadcast, they've held opponents to the lowest field goal percentage in the country. So it's a tough defense. It's going to be tough to score, and this was going to be a chance for Oakland to try and match on defense, but it wasn't happening. In that second half, it was just getting worse and worse. And until kind of midway through the second half, Oakland's defense started to wake up too. Northern Iowa was done scoring for like a 5-minute stretch. They did not score for a 5-minute stretch, and that allowed Oakland to really bite into that deficit of 15 points, very similar to what we saw against UCF as well, being down by 15. Oakland was able to get it back to 1 possession, but it's kind of similar to that UCF game where we weren't able to get over the hump. We were still at an arm's distance. They're kind of stiff arming us to, keep us from getting to that lead. It got down to 3 points, and I think it may have even gotten down to 2, but still 1 possession. And then it was just like Campy was saying in the post-game radio interview that we would get close and then a dumb play and then a turnover and then, getting scored on. It just, something was wrong, at every turn, and Oakland was just not able to get the lead in this one. And as the game went on, as the clock wound down, it got to a point where, you play the free throw game, and that's kind of what grew the deficit to the 12 points of the final score, but it was a little bit closer than that as far as how the game itself was played, but it was just kind of ugly all around. It was guys playing hero ball. It was poor shots. It was shots taken too quickly. Offense not able to develop, according to Campy in that interview. So it was just not their finest game. But I'm not super worried about it. It's against a unique opponent. It's against a very good mid-major team. It's non-conference, which is also a big deal of it. And if ever there's a time to kind of have an ugly game like this, you want to kind of out of your system in non-conference. That's what it's for. And it's something that Oakland's going to have to, take a big look at, because Horizon League season's right around the corner. We're already kind of technically into it after the Purdue Fort Wayne game, but we got one coming up in a couple days too at Northern Kentucky, and then not so long after that at Wright State. It's going to have to be something that's going to have to be solved by Oakland before it gets figured out by everybody else. So that's kind of just how the game went, a little bit ugly, not the high flying action we've been used to seeing. Some of the big stats for this game, I mentioned the free throws, where Oakland, they took 19, only made 12 of them. There were 63% from the free throw line. And UNI shot 27 times at the free throw line. But even weirder, only made 16 of them. They were 59% from the free throw line. So part of that big run when Oakland was really closing in and getting it to one possession from down 15 points, UNI was not making their free throws. And that kind of enabled Oakland to kind of stay in it. As it was going on, I'm like, man, you got to cash in on this. You're not going to get teams. You're not going to have the free throw defense have them shoot under 60% from the line in their building. So it was also just kind of a disappointment that we weren't able to take advantage of it as much as we normally would. We usually get more free throws than the other team. We make more than they attempt. That's the goal of Campy for this season, especially when you got Brody Robinson, who got to the line he got to the line 6 times in this game, made 4 of his 6. We're usually used to seeing him making like the 5 of the 6 or the 6 of the 6. He's our free throw shooter, but he wasn't able to get to the line a whole lot. 7 turnovers as well with 12 points. Did not make a 3 out of his 3 attempts. Tough game for Brody. Kind of a tough game for Baru as well. 6 points. 8 rebounds, 3 turnovers. And there were times where some of those turnovers were a travel. When we were, only down by a few points. He got scored on inside. There was a few stretches where it was just kind of tough on Baru. Isaac Garrett ended with a double-double, 12 and 12, but he did not score in the first half. None. He has 7 rebounds, but he had no points in that first half. Brett White was really the only Golden Grizzly making anything from 3. He was 3 of 5 from deep, and everybody else, Oakland was 5 of 18 overall, good for 27%. It was just ugly all around. No, hard to say anybody had a really good game in this one, and it's going to be something Oakland's going to have to learn and going to have to grow for, and going to have to do so quickly, because they're going to be going down to Highland Heights, Kentucky in just a few days here. So they got this game this past Saturday. They got Northern Kentucky on Wednesday. They got Michigan State on Saturday. 3 games in 7 days. And not long after that, after Christmas, they'll be at Wright State. And, that marks our full immersion into Horizon League season. It's right around the corner. So it's good for Oakland to kind of get this kind of bad game out of their system in a non-conference, but it's going to have to be something that is a, few and far between, one-off. I don't know if we're going to be held into the 60s very much this season. Last year, yeah. This year, no. That is not going to be the case, and we hope that we could see that kind of improvement. I want to see Oakland be able to kind of regain traction when they're in these kind of muddy games down the road. So a quick cruise down the stat sheet for those that we've missed. Brody Robinson, as I mentioned, 12 points, along with 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 7 turnovers. Isaac Garrett, double-double, 12 and 12. Zahir Wells, 11 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist, block, 2 steals. Zahir had a good game as well, but he was one of those plays that kind of helped in Oakland not being able to close the gap. So he's going to need to improve as well. And kind of an overall point here as well. I mean, Wells was starting in this game because of the absence of Nassim Mashur. That kind of hurt us in the 3-point shooting as well. But as I mentioned in my tweet when it was announced that he was going to miss the rest of the season, it's not a game, it's not a season ender for Oakland. Nassim's awesome, but luckily the team is deep enough, like Zaire Wells, to fill in his spot in the starting lineup. Like, that ain't bad. And between him and Brett White, and even Marshall at times, it's enough to get by. But I mean, it certainly stings. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, that does sting to be missing that, especially as a multi-year Golden Grizzly in the zone, and so it's gonna sting. And maybe this game was kind of a them trying to adjust to it. Can't be said that as far as managing the rotation, it was part of it. Part of why they didn't. It was part of figuring out how to live without Nassim. So you could throw that into this game as well, as far as of like context of the loss. Overall, it was a bit of a bummer of a Saturday night, but still, I'm still confident in this team. I'm not worried, losing my mind over it. It's a good team. You learn some things. You're going to have to improve against Northern Kentucky, and we'll keep rolling. So I'm not scared, but it was a bummer. I guess we could put a bow on it that way. So what we got coming up next here for the JoMo Show? Next time we see each other, we'll be talking about Wright State, I keep mixing them up. Northern Kentucky, as well as the Michigan State game that is played at LCA at 12 p.m. for no reason. I don't know why it's so early in the day. It's costing me the ability to actually be at LCA for that, which blows. I'll have to watch it on TV. If you guys follow me on Instagram at Moceri_Giovanni, you'll see why. I got other things going on that Saturday morning, and I'm very excited for it. There's very few things that would keep me from LCA that Saturday, and that happens to be an event that qualifies as such. So be sure to stay tuned for that as well. It's going to be fun to see. But we'll be talking about those two games. We'll be kind of getting an outlook into the rest of the Horizon League. Maybe we'll have a guest as far as kind of introducing us to this year's Horizon League season now that we're starting Horizon League play. So stay tuned, subscribe, rate, review to stay tuned with all of that. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening and getting us to 100 subscribers on YouTube. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so. Hit the button below, like, comment, etc. I mean, you got to kind of push the activity on all this stuff as well. Follow the Instagram and myself on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for listening. It will wrap up the JoMo Show. My name is Giovanni Moceri, and we'll see you soon with more Golden Grizzlies basketball.